Hi. Many of you will be thinking about retirement and trying to work out whether you've got enough in your pot, your pension pot, and maybe your other savings, and trying to bring it all together. Now, this is the type of work that we do, or I do as a financial planner all the time. So I wanted to kind of go through the kind of process that I go through so that maybe you can use this yourself to try and establish whether you've got enough to retire on. So the income in retirement. So what are your choices? You've hopefully saved some money. And the first thing to do, of course, is understand what your expenditure is going to be. Now, I think you've got two lots of expenditure. You've got your essential expenditure, that's your normal bills, your gas, your electricity, maybe your house insurance, your council tax, the things that you've got to be paying now and throughout your retirement. Then, of course, you've got possibly your discretionary expenditure. So things that, the luxuries of life that you want to have in addition to the critical or the essential things that you need to pay for during retirement. Of course, then once you've understood what your those two expenditures are, the essential and the discretionary, you've then got to work out with okay, so when do I actually retire? What levels of other income will I continue to receive in retirement? Of course, for most of us in the UK, hopefully that'll be a state pension. And if there's two of you, a couple, maybe you'll have two incomes coming in, two state pensions. First of all, always make sure, and I've covered this in a few other videos, but make sure you are going to get full entitlement to this state pension. And if you have a few years before, get an assessment, get an appraisal, look out for whether you can make additional contributions or additional payments in to make sure you get the full state pension, because that could really underpin that essential expenditure that you have during your retirement. Once you've got that figure, once you understand what you've got coming in, what you've got going out, you've then got to try and work out, okay, so what can I withdraw from my pension fund that will allow me, that hopefully I won't run out of money and will allow me to enjoy my retirement? Well, this is a real challenge. And of course, even as a financial planner, I've got a lot of tools available to me. I'm going to share some of those with you today. But the key thing, of course, I don't know how long someone's going to live. And second of all, I don't know what investment returns are going to be or likely to be. I also don't know your attitude to investment risk, and also what your capacity, what we call the capacity for loss. This is how much a portfolio could fall and you still may maintain the level of expenditure that is needed. Or are you always going to be on the line? So, number of factors that we don't know, how long you're going to live, what equity or what investment returns are likely to be on your portfolio, and of course what inflation is going to be. So there's a number of factors that we don't know, which makes this type of planning extremely hard. Doesn't mean we can't do some good planning, it just makes it more challenging when we have all these kind of unknown variables. So enough of that, let's talk about one of the tools, and I'll go through a real life example, one of the tools that I use when I'm doing this type of work. Okay, so this is a application called Timeline. I'm afraid it's only available currently to financial advisors and financial planners like me. But let's talk about an example that I've put in here so that maybe this helps you give a flavour of the type of work that we do and maybe some of the considerations that you can make in your own plans. So what I've got here is a chap called Mr. Have I Enough? And he's coming up to 65 this year. Is his 65 this year, and so I've put it as 1st to 1st 1957, male. Just made that a bit too small, don't want to do that. And he's got a pension fund of £350,000, which we can see here the software is saying lasting to he was 82. So let's go and have a look at the overview. And £350,000, and we can see that I put in an essential expenditure of £24,000. If I go to life phases, essential spending of £24,000 a year, and additional kind of discretionary or love to have of £12,000, another £1,000 a month. And I've expressed that in gross amounts coming in, not net amounts. So let's just go to save the changes there. And what have we also got? Let's have a look at, if I go to my client profile, there's my basic details, and I've got income sources in here. I've got a state pension of 9,627 from 2024 onwards, which is his state pension age. And if we look at the investment accounts, I've got a balance of £350,000 in what we call a Flexi Access drawdown plan. So he hasn't taken his cash, he hasn't taken any withdrawals from this at the moment. So the first thing to do is let's have a look at the longevity. How long is Mr. Have I Got Enough going to live? Now, we've got a 50% chance of survival for a 65-year-old today in the UK. So this is based on just kind of normal life expectancy, in essence, average life expectancy in the UK. He's got a 50% chance of lasting to 87 and a 10% chance of lasting to 97. So, you know, that's the real challenge here, of course, is how long will someone live? So make sure how long that income can be sustained for. So if I go to my sustainable spending, what this chart is doing, if I can just try and zoom in for you, it's going back to kind of 1915, and it's showing what would the, from a portfolio like this, invested where it is currently, what would the maximum sustainable spending been in these portfolios based on historic returns. And you can see that the worst case scenario has basically been a sustainable worst case scenario between 1946 and 1978. The maximum sustainable spending has been £19,000 a year. And you can see the fluctuating amount over the years that you can see. Obviously, we're working on the basis of £36,000 would be that with that essential and that discretionary spend, and in significant amount of the times we wouldn't have made that, but it does happen some of the time. You can see that here between 1975 and April 2007 the maximum sustainable spending was 42,000. So at the moment only 90% of these historical periods would we be able to maintain the spending rate that Mr. Have I Got Enough wants to have. So if we look at the balance, and this is again coming into, we're starting at £350,000, and if we look at the median return, if I can just click that, there we go, the median return, so is the portfolio lasting until he's 82, based on, this has got an inflation linking into that withdrawal amount from that portfolio. Now the best, if I can just select that, there we go, the best returns we've got, the portfolio has been maintained throughout the whole of life, and actually he'd have ended up, you know, in a significant period, £1.25 million if he'd have started or retired in 1975, and he gets to 96 and he's still got £1.25 million in the portfolio. Now again, based on historical returns, if I go to the worst case scenario, actually the portfolio would have run out here. Just going to make sure worst is there. There we go. Runs out of money at age 73. There we go. And the start date of July 1972. So, of course, what's happened there is we've had the 73 stock market crash soon after this guy's retired, and therefore we've run out of money based on continuing to withdraw the withdrawals as needed. So, okay, so what is this? How does this help us? Well, what are the things that we can do to improve it, I suppose? The key thing here is, if I go back to my overview, I'm in what is called as a balanced portfolio. Now, if I move that to one of my own portfolios, well, in fact, I'll just pick the S&P 500 and back test the data on that. Now, that has then increased our performance, and if I go to charts and tools, I think it'll give us the best. So we've gone to 38% success rate, and the median return has actually moved this guy to age 90 before he runs out of money. Of course, you'll never run out of money on the state pension. The state pension would continue to come in. It's just that the capital within his pension pot, if he makes withdrawals of the amounts that we've put in, they run out of money at 90. And you might say, well, okay, well, based on his longevity, average life expectancy says 87. That's taking it 3 years beyond that. How lucky do I feel? One of the key considerations that I really want to also impart to you is that a flexible withdrawal or an income drawdown plan, it can be converted to an annuity at any point along the way. So you could get to 76 and go, do you know what? I'm now in ill health. I'm going to go for an impaired life annuity and transfer and move the cash across. It all depends on what kind of death benefits you're looking to leave or guaranteed income that you require for the rest of your life. But it should be a key consideration, and it's something that we do at every annual review, is look at what the annuity rates are and whether we should now buy one of those. So if I flip round here and I go to my portfolio, put one of my own portfolios in, the MFP portfolio, it'll be quite similar. Yeah, it lasts until 90 again. And if I look at the balance, just beyond 90 is showing the median return of this portfolio. So with a constant inflation adjustment. So again, these are the types of things. So we're looking at, the type of portfolio is significant to you, the withdrawal rate. Withdrawals often get less as people get older. So if I put in a withdrawal that was higher in the first 10 years of retirement and then slowly decreased, obviously we've got to counter off inflation as well. But actually some people spend less money on foreign travel as they get into their late 80s and early 90s. And of course that would increase the likelihood of the portfolio not running out. So this is just a kind of just to give you a flavour of what we do here at MFP Wealth Management and how I work, and the type of things that you should be considering of what your withdrawal amount is going to be, whether it needs to increase each year, obviously your state pension, any other incomes that you've got coming in, consideration, of course, of your spouse or partner, what incomes they will be bringing in, and also the tax rates, etc. There's a lot to take into account. Your capacity for loss, your attitude to risk, and your income, your income requirements. So, and of course, the portfolio is going to drive the return. So actually working out where you are actually invested, and the returns that you think are you're likely to receive over the course of your retirement. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's provided some insight into what we do here at MFP Wealth Management and what any good financial planner should do for you if you sit across the table for them. And if you're working this stuff out yourself, not easy to do, but it is possible. But these are the things that you should be taking into account when you're doing so. I hope that's been useful. My name's Justin King. I'm a chartered and certified financial planner, and my aim is to help you live a successful life, and that often involves understanding your money. If you like, you can listen to my podcast, which is the Retirement Cafe podcast. We'll put a link in the description below. And of course, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter, which is packed full of insights and tips into a successful retirement. For now, I'm Justin King, helping you live your best life.